In today's video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the Bloxburg elf hunt and how it works. Hey glossettes, welcome back. How are you guys doing today? Tell me down below as usual. So today I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about the Bloxburg elf hunt, including what it actually is and how it works, as well as the many questions I've been asked about it over the years. Now before we start, the developers have not confirmed that the elf hunt is coming back this year, and we won't know if it is until the Christmas update actually happens, so please keep that in mind. On top of this, I have a video talking about all the information we have so far in the Christmas update itself on my channel, which I'll link down below in case you're interested. But yeah, just to clarify, nobody has confirmed the return of the elf hunt this year so far. We're just hoping it comes back, and I personally believe it will. Also, it's always possible that the elf hunt is going to change in the kind of terms of how they do it, so I will be doing an updated version of this video once the elf hunt begins, just in case they've changed it from previous years and just to kind of remind you guys if you have any questions. But for this video, I'll just be talking about how the elf hunt usually works and has worked for the past 3 years that we've had it in the game. Anyways, let's start with what the elf hunt actually is. So the elf hunt is an event added in the Bloxburg Christmas update at the beginning of December, where an elf is added to the game each day in a new location, and they look like this. They're pretty cute. You need to find this elf and give it a certain item, and then it will give you money, and at the end of the elf hunt you get a trophy and some Bloxburg, so it's pretty cool. The first elf hunt was added back in 2020, and then we've had one in both 2021 and 2022, and there's always around 15 elves. The first elf is always placed at the observatory tower. Now you'd think this was pretty simple, but people always have a bunch of questions about how it works, which I'm going to answer now for you, as it is kind of complicated and I can see how people can get confused sometimes. Like I said, an elf is added to the game daily from the date of the Christmas update, so these don't start on the 1st of December or anything. They start from whatever date the update is added. For example, last year the update was on the 9th, I'm pretty sure, so the elves started from the 9th. Then one will be added every day until Christmas Eve. For example, on the first day, the first elf will be there, and then the next day it'll move to a new location, and on and on and on. So if you start looking for the elves from the first day, then you'll be able to get one every day. But if you start the elf hunt late, for example, you start the elf hunt 3 days after it started, and you go and get the first elf, you don't have to wait a day for it to move, because the next one was already added into the game, so you can just go straight on and get it. If you miss a day, you don't need to worry, you can just go and get the elf you missed and then get the next one so you're caught up again. And this is similar to how the Halloween event quests work that we had this year, and a lot of people were confused on the timing of that, so I'm gonna try and explain it a bit better this time. The timing of the elves is the same for every single player, not you individually, so no matter if you find the elves or not, the new one will already be available, if that makes sense, as there's one added into the game every day. So if you're late to the elf hunt, you can do a lot of them all at once, but if you do them from the very first day, you have to wait for the next day for the new one, as you are doing the hunt as they're being added, if that makes sense. So if you get an elf, you do not specifically have to wait 24 hours, you just need to wait until the game adds the next one in. If it's day 5 of the elf hunt, for example, this means that there's 5 elves already in the game for you to go and get. So if you've been getting an elf each day, obviously you'd only get 1 elf on day 5, but if you only start collecting them on day 5, you could get all 5 elves that you've missed straight away on the same day, as they are already available. I really hope this helps. It's really hard to explain. I'm trying to explain it as best as possible, as a lot of people can get really confused about this, and it is a hard thing to explain. But yeah, the game doesn't time you specifically, there is just an elf added every real life day. Anyways, something else to note in this section is that you have to do them in order. You can't just start at a random elf, because it won't spawn until you get the elf before it. So you must do it from the first elf, and then the second one, and then the third one, and on like that. You cannot skip ahead, you must do every single elf, or the next one will not spawn. And for future reference, I will be doing a daily video on every elf's location, so you can easily stay up to date, as I do every year. Another thing I just want to add is, of course, you get money from these elves, but I'm pretty sure if you do them late, like you collect the first elf on the second day or something like that, you actually get slightly less money than if you got the elf on the day it's added. I might be wrong, but I do remember people telling me that they were getting less money by doing them late, so just keep that in mind. And once again, even if this was the case, it could change. We don't know what's going to happen in the Christmas update this year. Anyways, to collect the elf, all you want to do is walk up to it with the object it wants and click it. But you may be wondering, how do you know what object the elf wants? Well, let me tell you. So usually what the elf wants is a cookie, but the further we get into the elf hunt, the more complicated it gets, as it changes what it wants. It's usually a food item, but we have seen the elves want a present or a glass of milk or something, as it kind of does change. Like I said, it gets more complicated the more the elf hunt goes on. So it's basically trial and error. You just need to keep giving the elf stuff until it accepts it. And if it doesn't accept it, it does this little no sound effect, which is pretty cute to kind of tell you that it's not the right item. Once again, it is usually a food item, so I recommend starting off trying to give it the cookies as it normally wants those, and if that doesn't work, then you just have to go and try all the Christmas food and drink and then go on to other food and just kind of keep guessing. It can get pretty tricky, but once again, in my elf location videos, I will tell you which item it needs. So if you do struggle with finding the elf and figuring out what it wants, then you can just watch my videos or other Bloxburg YouTubers videos and we'll show you how to do it. Moving on from this, if you're confused on how to find the elves and where they spawn, they actually just spawn anywhere on the map that isn't a plot. For example, we've seen them on buildings in the town, in more sneaky areas like around the outskirts of the map, and then we even had one hiding in the tunnels at the top of the map before and one hanging upside down from a tree. So the elves could be anywhere, but once again, the first elf is always at the observatory tower next to the tunnel in this corner. If an elf isn't spawning for you, then this means you probably haven't gotten the elf before it. Like I said earlier, you need to make sure you have gotten every elf so far and then try and get this one. You need to do them all in order. If it's still not spawning, then another tip is that you need to go close to the elf for it to appear. So make sure if you know where it is from a YouTube video, for example, you go right up to the location and it should pop up for you, and you will also get this helpful mood perk if there's an elf nearby. Next up is when the elves are actually added. So of course they're added once a day, but in terms of the time they're added, it's usually kind of evening time for Americans, or if you're in England like me, it's normally around 11 p.m. or later. Last year it was around 11 p.m. to 1 a.m, but the years before that it was like 2 or 3 a.m. The time kind of changes every year, and of course it's different for everyone in their time zones, so if you live in a different country it will be slightly different for you. It just depends where you live, and of course we don't know what time they're going to do them this year. They could do it at like 4 p.m. UK time, they could do it in the morning, who knows. You just need to make sure you keep an eye out and you go back to the previous elf to check if it's still there or not, and if it's not still there, then you know it's moved and we can go and find the next one. Now once the elf hunt is over, like I said earlier, you actually get a trophy from the last elf as well as Bloxburg's, but there's actually 2 different trophies. You get this trophy if you get every single elf the day it was added and you do them all on time, and then you get this trophy if you were a bit behind on the elves and do them late. So you still get a trophy, but you do get a slightly better trophy if you do the elves every day, and it is worth doing them every day on time, I think. But just to repeat what I said earlier, if you do miss a day, then it's not the end of the world, you can always catch up. Now that's pretty much everything I can think of to include, but if there's something I've missed and you're confused about, then please comment it down below and I will try and answer it for you. If there's something a lot of people are wondering, then I will answer it in the pinned comment just so people can find it easier. But yeah, once again, the elf hunt isn't confirmed to be coming back this year, but it's just pretty likely, and it's like the community's favorite event, so I'm really hoping they bring it back, and I hope I managed to answer some of your guys' questions. Once again, make sure you subscribe if you like this video, especially if you want to stay updated on Bloxburg Christmas update leaks, and of course the elf hunt in December. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and have an amazing day. Happy Glossmas everyone, and I love you all so much, glossettes. XOXO, Glossy Girl.